pretty much 348 laws so far. Okay, we're at the 348 mark right now. So we're halfway there, more than halfway there. Hopefully you're getting some understanding. Number 101, do not kill an animal and its young on the same day, Leviticus 22 and 28. Number 102, do not use olive oil in the sin offering of the poor man, Leviticus chapter 5, verse 11. Number 103, do not use frankincense in the sin offering of the poor man, Leviticus chapter 5, verse 11. Number 104, do not use olive oil in the grain offering of jealousy, Numbers chapter 5, verse 15. Number 105, do not use frankincense in the grain offering of jealousy, Numbers chapter 5, verse 15. Frankincense is very important, but we didn't misuse it. Understand that. We used it for when we sent our prayers up, or anointing others. Numbers 106, do not make substitutes for any vow offering, Leviticus chapter 27, verse 10. Number 107, do not dedicate the firstborn of an animal since it already belongs to Yahawah and must be given to the priest, Leviticus 27, 26. Number 108, do not redeem the firstborn of clean animals since they belong to Yahawah and must be given to the priest, Numbers 18, 17 through 18. Number 109, do not redeem the tights. They belong to Yahawah and must be given to the priest, Leviticus chapter 27, verse 32 through 33. Number 110, do not sell dedicated property. It belongs to Yahawah and must be given to the priest, Leviticus chapter 27, verse 21, 28. These people are in trouble. I'm telling you, these people who took over that land, that took the priest's land, are in trouble. Number 111, do not redeem dedicated property after the specified time. It belongs to Yahawah and must be given to the priest, Leviticus chapter 27, verse 28. Number 112, do not sever the head of a bird offered as a sin offering, Leviticus chapter 5, verse 7 through 8. Number 113, do not work with a dedicated animal, Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 19. Number 114, do not shear a dedicated animal, shear meaning cut the hair, Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 19. Number 115, do not offer the Passover lamb with leaven, Exodus chapter 34, verse 25. Number 116, do not allow the sacrificial fat of the Passover lamb to remain overnight, Exodus chapter 23, verse 18. Number 117, do not allow the meat of the Passover lamb to remain overnight, Exodus chapter 12, verse 10. We still keep that as a rehearsal. Number 118, do not leave any part of the additional offering overnight, Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 4. Number 119, do not allow any part of the second Passover lamb to remain overnight, Numbers chapter 9, verse 12. Number 120, do not leave any part of the Thanksgiving offering until morning, Leviticus chapter 22, verse 29 through 30. That's not Thanksgiving as in pagan, right? It's not that holiday. This is concerning the Passover, all right? Number 121, do not break any bones of the Passover lamb, Exodus chapter 12, verse 46. 122, number 122. Do not break any bones of the second Passover lamb, Numbers chapter 9, verse 12. Number 123. Do not remove the meat of the Passover lamb from the house where it is eaten, Exodus chapter 12, verse 46. Number 124. Do not bake the remainder of the grain offering with leaven, Leviticus chapter 6, verse 17. Number 125. Do not eat the Passover lamb raw or boiled, Exodus chapter 12, verse 9. Number 126, no stranger or hired servant may eat of the Passover lamb, Exodus chapter 12, verse 45. I'll read that again. No stranger or hired servant may eat of the Passover lamb, Exodus chapter 12, verse 45. Number 127, no uncircumcised person may eat of the Passover lamb, Exodus chapter 12, verse 48. Number 128, no one has fallen away, becomes a stranger, may eat of the Passover lamb, Exodus chapter 12, verse 43. Wow, that's heavy. Number 129, do not eat of the holy offerings while ritually unclean, Leviticus chapter 22, verse 2 through 3. Number 130, do not eat any food which becomes ritually unclean, Leviticus chapter 7, verse 19. Number 131, do not eat of the sacrifices which remain on the third day, they must be burned, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 6 through 8. Number 132, sacrifices remaining on the third day will not be accepted by Yahawah, Leviticus chapter 7, verse 16 through 18. Number 133, no one outside of the priest's family may eat of the holy offering, Leviticus chapter 22, verse 10 through 11. Number 134, no stranger or hired worker may eat of the holy offerings, Leviticus chapter 22, verse 10 through 13. Number 135, no uncircumcised person may eat of the holy offerings, Leviticus chapter 22, verse 10. Number 136, the priest must not eat of the holy offerings while ritually unclean, Leviticus chapter 22, verse 4. Number 137, the daughter of a priest who is married to a non-priest must not eat of holy offerings. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 12 through 13. So even the daughters had a prestige of a priest. Number 138, do not eat the grain offerings which the priest himself offers. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 23. Number 139, do not eat of the sin offering whose blood is sprinkled on the inner altar. Leviticus 6 and 30. Number 140, do not eat any abominable thing, whether unclean food or blemish offering. Deuteronomy 14 and 3. So if Christians try to put this in with this, but it applies to all the house of Israel, and that law is still in existence. We still keep the dietary law in Leviticus chapter 11. All right, this is number 141. Do not eat the second tithes of grain except at Yahawah's feast, at the house of Yahawah. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 17 through 18. Number 142. Do not drink the second tithe of wine except at Yahawah's feast, at the house of Yahawah. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 17 through 18. Number 143. Do not eat the second tithe of oil except at Yahawah's feast, at the house of Yahawah. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 17 through 18. Number 144. Do not eat the feast sacrifices except at Yahawah's feast, at the house of Yahawah. Deuteronomy 12 and 17, verse 18. Number 145. The priest must not eat the tithes except at Yahawah's feast, at the house of Yahawah. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 17 through 18. Number 146. The priest must not eat the meat of the burnt offering at all. Leviticus chapter 1, verse 9. Number 147. The meat from any of the sacrifices must not be eaten before the blood has been sprinkled on the altar. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 27. Number 148, the priest must not eat of the tithes of the holy offerings except at a holy place. Leviticus chapter 10, verse 13 through 14. Number 149, no stranger may eat of the holy offering. Exodus 29, verse 33. Number 150, do not eat of the second tithe while at home in a state of ritual impurity. Wow. Deuteronomy 26 and 14. Number 151, do not eat the second tithe at honor of the dead. Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 14. There are those tithes again, those tithings. You know, these priests, these people are not priests, man, that we got in these churches, these Christian churches. Number 152, do not eat of the tithe in honor of any god. Deuteronomy 26, verse 14. Number 153, no unauthorized person may eat of the holy offerings. Leviticus chapter 22, verse 14 through 16. Number 154, do not delay to pay tithes and offerings to Yahawah at the house of Yahawah. Exodus 22, verse 29. Number 155, do not delay to pay vows to Yahawah at the house of Yahawah. Deuteronomy 23 and 21. 23, verse 21. Number 156, do not appear before Yahawah at his feast at the house of Yahawah empty-handed without an offering. Deuteronomy 16 to 16 through 17. Number 157, do not break vows and oaths to Yahawah, Numbers 30 and 2. And a lot of these, I say again, they go over each other. They overlap each other. And the reason why they overlap is because the Most High don't want you to try to figure a way out of it. You know, people are always trying to manipulate the laws. That's why they remain intact. They're not really amended. You look at the laws of today's society, they continually amend the laws over and over and over and over and over. There's no solution, because they can't entrap people in that one law, you know, in the land. So people they have attorneys to find out other ways to get around it. But in the Most High's laws, there's no other way to get around it. Okay, that's why people don't like to use it, because the Most High, what he's done, he's the supreme attorney. He's a supreme judge. He put this thing intact. No way around it. And it works. That's the beauty of it. It works. But in this land, we're only able to keep so many of them. the priest. Number 158. A priest must not marry a woman who is a harlot. Okay, so we're going into the priest. Leviticus 21, verse 7. Now, when you see Hosea, he actually married a harlot. He married a prostitute. But that was symbolism for Israel being a harlot, following other gods. Okay, so he allowed it that one time with Hosea. And he had 2 children, right? Let's go to number 159. A priest must not marry a woman who refuses to repent of God worship. Leviticus chapter 21, verse 7. So this applies today. Same thing. If you're in this truth and you're thinking about marrying a woman, you should wait a year before you do anything with her. You should learn that woman. Learn her spirit, not so much her beauty, but learn her spirit. Same thing with your sisters, with brothers. It should be the same thing. Learn that brother's spirit. See if he's truthful. After the 2nd and 3rd month, the gig is up. You pretty much figure out what that person is about. And if they were lying in the beginning, it all comes out. They can only lie so long. Let's go to 160, number 160. A priest must not marry a woman who has divorced herself from her lawful husband. Leviticus chapter 21, verse 7. That's almost impossible today. Right? But let's move on. Number 161. The high priest must not marry a woman who is a God worshiper. Okay, our high priest is no longer here. Leviticus 21:14. He's here in spirit. Number 162. The high priest must not marry a woman defiled by harlotry. Leviticus 21:14. That does not apply because we don't have any high priests on earth. Number 163. Priests must not allow their hair to grow long. Leviticus chapter 10, verse 6, meaning long like a woman. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 44, verse 20. Okay. Number 164. Priests must not tear or serve with torn priestly garments. We went over that before. Leviticus chapter 10, verse 6. Number 165. Priests must not forsake their appointed office. Leviticus chapter 10, verse 7. Those are the Levite priests. Number 166. Priests must not become ritually unclean except for their nearest relative. Leviticus 21, 1 through 4. Number 167. The high priest must not go near any dead bodies. Leviticus chapter 21, verse 11. Number 168, the high priest must not become ritually unclean for any dead body, Leviticus 21:11. Number 169, the tribe of Levi shall have no part in the division of the land of Israel, Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 1. Number 170, the tribe of Levi shall have no inheritance other than Yahawah's portion, Numbers chapter 18, verse 20. Number 171, the priests must not shave their heads bald in honor of the dead, Leviticus 21, verse 5. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 1. Dietary laws. Let's go over dietary laws. This applies. All this applies. Number 172, do not eat unclean animals. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 7 through 8. Number 173, do not eat unclean fish or seafood. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 10 through 12. Crabs, oysters, shrimp. Things that you like to eat. Unclean to you. Number 174, do not eat unclean fowl or birds. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 13. Do not eat buzzards, eagles, crows. All right? We don't eat that stuff. We eat chicken. We can eat chickens. We can eat turkeys. You cannot eat ostrich. You can't go to Foot Rutgers Burger Stop and get an ostrich hamburger. All right? Number 175, do not eat any unclean flying insects. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 20 through 23. Number 176, do not eat any insects that creep on the ground. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 41. That's pretty clear. Number 177, do not eat any reptiles. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 44. All you southerners, no more crocodiles, no more snakes, and no more frog legs or fried frog legs over gravy and rice. Can't do that no more. No more turtle soup. All right? Number 178, do not eat worms found in fruit or produce. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 42. Number 179, do not eat any swarming insects. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 43. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 19. Number 180, do not eat any animals found already dead. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 21. A lot of y'all don't know that you're eating dead animals already, been sitting in the slaughterhouse for over a month in a corner somewhere. All right, so that's why we're in captivity. Number 181, do not eat a torn or mauled animal. Exodus chapter 22, verse 31. Number 182, do not eat any meat with the blood still in it, not fully cooked. Only proper cooking ensures the removal of all blood. Deuteronomy 12 and 23. Cook it all the way. Number 183, do not touch the carcass of an unclean animal. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 8. Number 184, do not eat or drink blood. That's plain. Leviticus chapter 7, verse 26-27. Number 185, do not eat the fat of sacrificed animals. Leviticus chapter 7, verse 23, 25. Number 186, do not boil a young goat in its mother's milk, since it is a ritual of God worship. Exodus 23, verse 19. Do not eat of or offer any sacrifices to the gods. Leviticus chapter 17, verse 7. When you go into a Chinese restaurant, do not take your fruit and put it next to their little Buddhist god sitting on the table. Okay? Or an Indian restaurant, do not put your fruit next to the statue with 8 arms and legs. All right. Number 188. Do not eat the meat of a bull that has been stoned to death for goring someone. And you know what? Going back to 187, when I was talking about putting the fruit next to these statues, guess what a Christmas tree is? The same thing. You putting presents up under a tree just like they do with fruit under their God. It's the same thing. Okay. Number 189. Do not eat any, let me go 188 because I don't think I read it. Do not eat the meat of a bull that has been stoned to death for goring someone. Exodus 21, verse 28. So you see those bulls that run and chase people down in Mexico? After they stick their horns in someone to kill them or injure them, you're not supposed to kill that bull, eat it. Okay? That bull is a very sinful bull. It injured a man. Remember in Genesis it says every beast that takes the blood of a human must be put to death. You can't eat it. Number 189, do not eat any bread in celebration of the feast until the Omer offering has been presented to the priest at the beginning of the 15th of Abib. Leviticus 23 and 14, 10. Number 190, do not eat any parched grain in celebration of the feast until the Omer offering has been presented to the priest at the beginning of the 15th of Abib. Leviticus 23, verse 14. It's going into the Passover. All right. Number 191, do not eat of the fresh green ears in celebration of the feast until the Omer offering has been presented to the priest at the beginning of the 15th of Abib. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 14. These offerings, we no longer do these offerings anymore. Do not eat the fruit of young fruit trees for the first 3 years of growth. Leviticus 19:23. This still applies. Okay? Do not eat any of the fruit off these trees for the first 3 years because it's not fully grown. The fruit doesn't have all its proper nutrients. Even though it buds after the first year, don't eat that fruit. Leave it for the birds. Number 193, do not eat the produce from the planting of 2 kinds of seed. Deuteronomy 22, verse 9. Number 194, do not partake of drink offerings to the gods. Deuteronomy 32, verse 38. Number 195, drunkenness of any sort is prohibited. Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 20. So drink in moderation. Number 196, do not eat or drink anything on the Day of Atonement. Leviticus 23, verse 29, 32, this is going to be in September, and of course you afflict yourself all day by fasting. So prepare for fasting now if you've never done it before. But you have to build your faith up. Okay, you have to build your body up in being used to fasting, just like being a weightlifter when lifting weights. You can't just go pick up 300 pounds. You have to work your way up. So it's the same thing with fasting. Number 197, do not eat leavened bread during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Exodus 13, verse 3. So constantly remind yourself, don't go through the drive-thru and buy a burger, talking on the phone, forgetting that it's the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and you eat it and it's too late. Now you got to repent. All right. Number 198, do not eat any leavened product during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Exodus 12 and 20. Yes, it does apply. Number 199, do not eat leavened bread with the Passover lamb, Deuteronomy 16, verse 3. It does apply. We're just rehearsing the righteous acts. You may not do it perfectly, but we're rehearsing. Number 200, no leavened bread is to be found in any of our possessions during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Exodus 13 and 7. Get rid of all yeast out of your house for 7 days. Number 201, no leavening is to be found in any of our possessions during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Exodus chapter 12, verse 19. Let's go into the Nazirite vow once again. This is a little bit more on that. Number 202, a Nazirite must not drink wine or any beverage made from grapes, Numbers 6 and 3. Number 203, a Nazirite must not eat fresh grapes, Numbers 6 and 3. Christ drunk, Yahawashi, Hamashiach, drunk wine, right? But people call him a Nazirite. He was not a Nazirite. He was a Nazarene, okay? He was Yahawashi of Nazareth. He was raised in that area. Okay? So if you're raised in a certain area, you'll be named after that area. But he was not a Nazirite. Okay? He didn't take that vow either. Number 204. A Nazirite must not eat raisins. Numbers 6 and 3. 205. A Nazirite must not eat grape seeds. Numbers 6 and 4. 206, number 206. A Nazirite may not eat the skins of grapes, number 6 and 4. See how the Most High is keeping you from doing it? There's no working your way around. That's how simple people get. Well, we could just eat the skin of the grapes. You're not really eating the grape. So he said, don't eat the skin of the grapes either. Number 207. A Nazirite must not become ritually unclean for the dead. Number 6 and 7. We're almost done. But you're not really done because you're going to have to rehearse this stuff for the rest of your life. Okay? Over and over and over, you're building up your faith. Number 208, a Nazirite must not go near a dead body. Numbers chapter 6, verse 6. Number 209, a Nazirite must not shave his hair during the time of his separation. Numbers chapter 6, verse 5. Okay, the next topic we're going to go into, it's going to be on agriculture. And I'm trying to go through this real quick. Oh man, we have maybe about 100 more to go through. Yeah. Now I pray that you brothers and sisters are getting blessed from this, because like I said, a lot of you brothers and sisters never knew what these laws contain. Which ones were done away with and which ones were not. So it's important to go over this stuff. Agriculture. Do not, this is number 210. Do not harvest the corners of a field. They are for the poor. Leviticus 23 and 22. We talked about this earlier. Number 211. Do not gather the gleanings of a field. They are for the poor. Leviticus 23 and 22. And this applies. Number 212, do not gather all olives from the trees. The remaining are for the poor. Deuteronomy 24 and 20. Number 213, do not gather all the grapes from the vineyard. The remaining are for the poor. Leviticus 19:10. What did Yahawashi say to, who was he speaking with? Was that Simon? Timothy. I'm trying to remember. When Mary Magdalene came in and put ointment on his feet, perfume on his feet, and she was wiping it off, and the disciple told him, he said, why she wasted all this expensive wine? And he said, we can use it for the poor. And Yahawashi told him, he says, you will always have the poor, but you won't have me here. So let her do as she will. So the significance of what he said is this: the poor are still here. They're going to be here to the end of the earth. There was poor back then, and there's poor now. So we still have to be the same way towards the poor. Okay? Let's go to number 214. Do not return to pick up a forgotten sheep from a field. It is for the poor. Deuteronomy 24:19. If I didn't read 213, it's number 213. Do not gather all the grapes from the vineyard. The remaining are for the poor. Leviticus 19:10. Let's go to 215. Number 215. Do not plant a field with two kinds of seed. Leviticus 19:19. Meaning don't let it grow right next to it. You ever look at a garden or a farm, you see it has rows. Each row has a certain seed. You don't put the same seed in the same row. Okay, so that's what it's talking about. You don't want them intermingling and growing together, making a new fruit or new vegetable. That will be abominable. Number 216, do not plant a vineyard with two kinds of seed. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 9. Number 217, do not crossbreed different species of animals. Leviticus 19, verse 19. And you see that with the Esau's kingdom, where you see a tiger crossbred with a lion, and you get a ligor, something just that looks abominable. Okay, so man is doing that not knowing the laws, because no one is teaching the people. Okay, number 218. Do not work with two different species of animal yoked together. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 10. Number 219. Do not muzzle the ox that treads out the grain. Deuteronomy 25, verse 4. Number 220. Do not sow the fields in the seventh year. Leviticus 25, verse 4. 221. Number 221. Do not prune your vineyard or trees in the seventh year. Leviticus 25, verse 4. Number 222, do not reap your harvest in the seventh year. Leviticus 25 and 5. Number 223, do not gather the grapes of the unattended vines in the seventh year. Leviticus 25, verse 5. Number 224, do not sow the fields of the Jubilee year. Leviticus 25, verse 11. Number 225, do not reap the harvest of the Jubilee year. Leviticus 25 and 11. Number 226, do not gather the grapes of the unattended vines in the Jubilee year. Leviticus 25 and 11. Number 227, the land must not be sold permanently. Leviticus 25:23, because back then they would loan a land, they would use it as collateral to get loans, okay, but they would not give up their land. They paid that loan off. It was easy to back then, you didn't have interest. Number 228, do not sell the land belonging to the priests and the Levites. Leviticus 25, verse 34. Number 229, do not neglect the priests and Levites. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 19. Let's go into loans, businesses, and the treatment of slaves. Let's go into that.